Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Indigenous Wisdom for the Earth series. This is Tara Canova. I'm the Network Relations Manager for Tree Sisters and the host of the series. I wanted to take the time to introduce the series to those of you who are new to it and show you the actual page where you can come and listen and watch the calls every month. This is the Indigenous Wisdom for the Earth page when you can follow this link at any time. It's found in the Join section of our website. And here you can do two things. You can sign up for our mailing list. This will get you an email once a month that tells you who the guest is, an introduction about what the conversation was, and also a link to watch the call. We always place the current month's call on this page. As you can see here, our January guest was a replay from Flourishing Diversity, featuring Pat McCabe. And you can get a description here as well as watch the video here and find out more information about the guest through a link. Now, this series was originally set up as a place for Indigenous and original people to come and share their wisdom, their cultural heritage, their beliefs, and talk about the challenges that they face. So I'm very grateful to all the guests who have ever been on the show, and we continue to add more on this year. I'm always looking for guests as well. So if you know of an Indigenous group or peoples who would like to be on this series and share their story and their wisdom with us in the network, please do reach out to me. My name is Tara, and the email is tara@treesisters.org. Let me show you as well, before we go on, there is a library of all the previous calls. And when you click that link, it takes you to this page. And as you can see, each month's guest has their own little individual area that you can click on and learn more about. It includes the video, so in case you miss it, you can go back and watch. I will say our earliest calls were audio calls. I think back here in some of these may have been audio instead of videos. But they are such diversity, such heart and wisdom and stories. It's really worth checking out this page and taking the time to stop and listen to some of these speakers. What I wanted to do for February is to go back and talk to some of these guests, find out what's changed since we last spoke to them, how are they doing, and what is going on for them at this time. So I reached out to the 2021 guest. Not everyone was able to send a response, but we did get quite a few. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the amazing Sister Zeph. Let me go ahead and click on her original page. Sister Zeph is this woman who really, her courage and bravery is so inspirational because she lives in Pakistan, where the rights for women are based on cultural beliefs for generations. And they're not as, the way that we are in Western society, women have certain rights. Whereas in Pakistan, Sister Zeph was telling me, a woman can't even walk out of her home alone. She has to be accompanied by a man to go anywhere. What her story is, when she was young and in school, she faced educational abuse and discrimination. And that made her determined to start her own school for girls who would get that education and be treated with kindness. She set up her own school, and I believe it was her parents' backyard at the time, and one single room, and began free schooling for young girls. That single story room school has now blossomed into this amazing academy. She calls it Zephaniah Free Education and Women's Empowerment Foundation, where free education is given to not only just the children, but also women, so that they learn skills such as online computer skills. They also learn sewing, they learn cooking, they learn makeup, beauty. There's a big call for doing wedding makeup and creating the gorgeous gowns that are worn in celebrations. So she's giving them the skills so that they have some independence to bring in their own source of income should any situation arise where that is needed. She has sent us a little video. I'm not going to be able to play the entire video because it is almost 8 minutes long, but I will play the start so we can check in and see how they were doing in 2021. I'm going to pause there. We'll include the link to the rest of this video on our website so you can watch. I also wanted to mention the children's mango party you just saw. She's teaching them about nutrition. She has actually started to bring in more nutritious meals, and a lot of these children don't get a nutritious meal in their daily homes. So she's just so amazing in her community and so inspirational. Please check her out. She is on Facebook, and I will include the link for that as well. And again, so grateful for all the amazing work that Sister Zeph does. And we're very thankful for her being on the show. Our second guest is Chantal and Chantal de Wainer of EcoPower International Initiative. Now, for those of you who may not remember, they are an organization that works in the Bossawas biosphere through reforestation, and they have a very unique initiative. They are working to provide clean, renewable power to every Indigenous family inside this biosphere, which in turn helps them to reduce the destructions of forests by eliminating the use of the forest timbers for firewood, which is a very significant issue in that area. The people who live there rely on collecting firewood so that they can boil their water, cook their food, carry on with daily life and survival. So they tend to cut down the trees because that is needed. And I also want to mention that what's unique about this particular group is that they use castor trees, which produce an oil which is used in everything from soap to biofuel. It's cheap, it's environmentally friendly. And what's fascinating, or at least was to me in the conversation, was that these castor trees have very deep roots and they grow very quickly. So what they do is plant these castor trees in with the native trees, and that establishes a much more secure growing space for the natives. Those castor trees hold that soil, keep it in place, draw in the water, which in turn waters the other trees. It's really quite a unique and very amazing project that they are doing. Now, they sent me quite a detailed update, and I'm going to read you some of it. I'm also going to play a very short video. Please know you can always go onto their website, EcoPower Initiative, and learn what they're doing there. They've actually increased their projects. When I spoke to them last year, it was simply the Bosawaya biosphere, which in and of itself is pretty large. But they have expanded to Latuca. And let's see, that is an area northeastern Nicaragua and part across the border in Honduras. And they've also expanded to Cayuya. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing these, where they are focusing on women's empowerment. And the smallest of landowners with as little as a quarter of a hectare with an opportunity to produce their own energy by planting as little as 36 castor trees, which will give them electricity all year round. They do have a process where they take the oil and turn it into fuel, which then provides electricity for people in these areas. And also Kabola country in Kenya, where they wish to not only supply their farmers with renewable electricity and alternatives to burning wood, but to also incorporate the general population in Kenya. The rural people have smaller land holdings and live more congested than in Central America. So they have less space to actually really work with planting trees. Let me go ahead and read some of these things while you're looking at these pictures. So Chantal sent this update, and she wanted us to know that they, after the conversation with us, they partnered up with a group called Plant for the Planet, which is located in Germany. And since they began a relationship with that group, they have now planted 600,000 trees between July and December of 2021. They aim to plant over 20 million trees inside Bosawas biosphere and provide 6,000 families with the means to generate a livelihood from this regenerative agricultural. And let's see, they are also launching their own Rainforest Alliance.org website coming up sometime this year. And this website is unique in that it will analyze and determine your consumption of consumable products, calculating your carbon footprint, and also including things like the manufacturing process, packaging, distance, transportation, time, all these things to get an actual realistic total of the carbon footprint of that product. They then offer a way to calculate that carbon footprint into tree numbers so you can also turn around and plant trees. She wanted us to know that her husband, Jesse, and her children are in Europe with her at the moment. They are getting ready to start a marketing and funding campaign on local radio stations. And they're trying to get out on local European TV channels to bring more awareness to this and the over 32,000 Indigenous people that they currently are representing. They certainly are expanding and moving very quickly and having much success, which is wonderful to see, because when we spoke to them last year, they were still trying to seek sponsors. So you can plant for them. If you want to come to their website, you can check out where they're planting and help. Let me go ahead and play the video. It's only 45 seconds, I think, 42. Get an idea of what these castor trees look like, and you'll be listening to Sister de Wainer speak about them.
Here we are, guys, just to show you Castor reforesting our rainforest, at the same time creating over 800 biodegradable products. Isn't that amazing? Look at this tree. It's less than 1 year old. It hasn't even passed its first year birthday. And look how big and look how strong our trees are. This is the Weiner strain castor tree, Weiner elana, here in the Reserve Bossawa, reforesting our planet. So come on, guys, play your part and plant a tree today. EcoPower all the way.
So as you can see, these trees are pretty amazing how quickly they grow and give stability, because if you look at that soil there, you can see it's pretty much so degraded that a rainstorm could simply wash that soil away. But with these trees taking roots, it's giving structure to that earth to keep it in place so that regeneration can happen. So I'm very happy for the success that this group has been having, and all the best to Chantal and Jesse. They've asked if they could come back and update us at some point this year. So I am happy to have them return and give us some more information on the work that they've been doing. The next guest I wanted to do a catch up with is the Mamas movement. And they are participating in saving Ferry Creek. Our guest was both the elder, Bill Jones of the Pachadot First Nation, as well as Asha and Paula from Mamas Movement Group. Now, Mamas Movement Group is these two women who said, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to just stand here and watch this amazing old growth forest torn down and not take some action. So the two of them started a charity within their area to gather other mothers and other creatives and collaborators and allies to participate in protecting Ferry Creek. They have their own website, which you can come and check out, Mom's Movement. And there's ways to take action. There's updates, films, and letter bundles, everything you need if you want to participate. This is, again, the British Columbia Forest. And I'm going to show you their video, which will explain what's going on there. I do want to also read their update that they sent to me to make you aware of the situation. So they're working in collaboration with a multitude of other charities and organizations, as well as Bill Jones, the elder, and certain tribe members that want to preserve the trees in the land. If you watched our series last year, which you can come back and watch anytime, we happened to break it into two pieces. The conversation with Paula and Asha, and then the conversation with Bill himself. And this is a bit complicated because the situation there is that the government has some sway over one part of the indigenous tribe there, whereas the other part is wanting to preserve the land and nature. And from this update from Paula and Asha, that is still continuing. According to them, when the court cases are being reviewed about saving Ferry Creek, the government will go and talk about it with First Nations who are part of that group that tend to be swayed by what is wanted from the government. Again, I'm quoting what I've been sent. Whereas they're not talking to Bill Jones and the people from his tribe who want to preserve the land and the trees, and they're not talking to the various groups and organizations who have literally been camping out surrounding the forest, trying to prevent the loggers from getting through. So here's her update. She says that to date, the fence for the old growth trees in Ferry Creek has now been active for over 548 days. And during this time, there has been many arrests on the people who were there. It's stating that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police has spent more than $10 million at Ferry Creek to arrest peaceful citizens, even though they say the timber is far worth more than that. They're amping up for another intense season between those who are trying to peacefully protect the creek and the loggers who have the legal right to go on the land and tear down these trees. These amazing old growth trees, which I think I showed you a picture on their website, are unfortunately worth a huge amount. So, of course, money is a factor in their destruction, because just look at the size of that tree, and that's just part of the base of the trunk. That's not even the full tree. These trees are huge, you might see in the background. And they're old growth. So what's unique about them is this set of biodiversity can never be exactly replicated because it took hundreds and hundreds of years to get to this point. And I'm talking about not just the trees, but the molecular level of the moss and the bacteria and everything that makes up a biodiverse area is so unique to it. And once it's gone, it's gone. And that's the situation there. It's more gone. It's to a point where it's a crisis. Either what's left will be preserved and there's still a chance, or it will be all destroyed and there will be no more old growth forest in that area, which would certainly be devastating. She has included multiple links, and I'm going to include them. She says there's a clip from Bill Jones, so that's good. I will make sure to include that. Yeah, she sends quite an extensive update. Let me go ahead and play her video so you can get an idea of what's going on in the situation. I will try to make sure all these multiple links are included so that you can take a look for them and watch them and get a better understanding. Let me go ahead and play this now. Again, this is an 8-minute video, so I'm not going to play the entire video, but I do want you to see what's going on there.
Hello, yeah, my name is William Jones of the Pachinat First Nation. I'm an 80-year-old elder there. I'm here to spread the word of saving what's left of the old growth. The old growth is the untouched original virgin timber that has never been logged. There is very little of it left, just remnants of our ancient forests. What's left, particularly the Ferry Creek watershed, that happens to be one of our holiest mountains. What's left has to be not touched, period. Customarily, our people, the Pachinat First Nation, looked upon the forest as all old growth. Now we're wanting to save what's left of it for the children's future and their spiritual needs.
Please don't cut them down. I love trees. Please don't cut the trees down. We love trees. Don't cut them down. I love trees.
I respect Mother Nature, old growth trees. It's kind of like, to me, it's like elders, but like to the world, like the earth. It's very important, I say, for me, to keep them standing.
So it's a loggerhead situation that our government doesn't seem to be wanting to address.
Please know that this video is available on their website, Mama's Movement. You can look that up and find it directly. I'll also include that link on our webpage with all these other links, and just really such beautiful souls they are trying to say this magical and one of a kind for us. Our next guest is Dr. Anne-Marie Chomat of Buenos, Mera, which means good seed. And this is in Guatemala. Now, if you didn't see the original call, it was very interesting. She is a doctor who had heard about an issue called dwarfism that occurs in Guatemala, where the people there only grow a certain height. So she had come down to do some research on what the impact of what that was. And what bloomed out of what was originally a medical research is these amazing women's circles where these women have found strength and voice and courage. And those of you who know our GROWS program, it's similar to that in that they have their local women's groups and they come together to find their voice and to help the earth and just grow. And what's so amazing about this is that, and this is according to Dr. Anne-Marie Chomat, Guatemala is one of the most dangerous places on earth for women. So I do want to note that if you go back and watch our video, I do want to give a trigger warning because she talks about some of the violence towards women, and that could be upsetting to hear about. But the heart and soul of what she's done and what these women are doing and how they're finding their voice and realizing they actually have a voice to share is so inspiring that I really hope you can come and watch their previous conversation as well as visit their current website because they have some wonderful news to share with us. Let me get their website up here. Here we go. You can look up Buenos, Mera, and it's at .org. And you can come to their webpage and you can join the mailing list. You can learn more about the projects. As you can see here, is a grassroots collective based in Guatemala that supports marginalized, Indigenous, and non-Indigenous women and their communities in their quest to reclaim their voice, well-being, self-authority, and self-determination. They're, let's see, starting an initiative this year. I'll get to that in just a minute, but as you can see, you can come read about their mission, their vision. We envision a world where everyone's voice counts, where today's oppressed people are liberated and able to live full lives free of violence. When we move beyond polarities of North and South, rich and resource, poor and above and below, we allow ourselves to stand side by side in a reciprocal flow of knowledge and wisdom, of giving and receiving for the better of all life. I have to say, Anne-Marie Chomat herself is such an inspirational speaker. When I spoke to her, you will really be moved and inspired if you go back and watch that particular call. I am going to read a little bit of the update about these women and this project. And Anne-Marie sent over. She states that we brought in 9 women and 1 man as new leaders of our circles. They went through a very beautiful training together and have since opened up 10 more new women's circles and 1 men's group circle. Let me mention quickly here, she was telling us about these men group circles. They're to show these men that the historical cultural treatment of violence against women needs to be stopped, that needs to be changed. So these groups are men who are willing to learn about changing how they treat women in their lives. And that's such important work because there's such a urge to follow cultural patterns in life in different areas, different countries. It happens. But the fact that they're making way on changing that behavior to a more healthy relationship between men and women is nothing short of astonishing. It's just so beautiful to see. Let me read what else she has sent. They are dedicating themselves along with their usual activities and the continuing growing of those usual activities with more circles and more reaching more communities and more leaders. But they're also strengthening 3 fundamental roots for sustainability of the project: recovery of ancestral knowledge, strengthening of local economies, including the participants in the circles, and a reconnection with Mother Earth. Working in these contexts will also require collective wound healing. Those who've lost cultural identity, those who lost their voice, those who've lost livelihoods and been affected by the economies, those who've lost their connection with the earth and food production. And they need to continue to weave beyond the scars from the dreams of all participating local wisdom and practices that have been silenced, and from the needs of the people to contribute to the realization and revitalization of the rebirth and flourishing of original peoples from the hearts and starting with the women for the good of all. They are preparing to launch their yearly International Women's Month campaign. And let's see, hope to shift the paradigm of charity. That is not just we need you, but rather we support you and you support us together in community. That's beautiful. I love that. We're also planning to launch a series of offerings based on the concept of reciprocity, where global North and South groups might meet heart to heart and start exploring together how to weave together a new reality. And just to hear the voices from each other to bring perspectives in. They're very excited about this. So wow, that sounds very exciting and beautiful. And I know that our Kathleen on our True Sisters team, she runs our community engagement. I put her in contact with Anne last year, and they are working on some aspects of a North and South connection. So we'll see if that develops this year and if that gets to take place. I'm going to play their video. It's about 3:54, so it's not too long. I want to state it is in Spanish, I believe. It has captioning in English, so please be aware of that. It also has the text in Spanish as well.
Organización Buena Semilla no Cruto, en Cruto Ishki, familia pueblos indígenas, ani Nametrich Puaba, una organización Jara Ishinilia Santiago Atitlán, Ichka San Juan Otulcalco. Banit San Kiruto Ishki San Kiruto Sar Akiva, Kono an Kohechubik in Kiben, Kolan Nuenko pensar in Kiben Hea. Y jajababa y que ishqi rituan porque ishqi nkatsina apoyo chica ya que chpam haqtinamet mahonja una asistencia irshinidia.
El objetivo principal de los círculos de mujeres es crear un espacio en donde las mujeres puedan ser libres, puedan también canalizar todas esas emociones que tal vez en casa no lo pueden hacer, y aparte formar una red de amistad, de hermandad, en donde las mujeres puedan expresarse, apoyarse y tener como que un espacio donde también puedan expresar sus sentimientos, sus emociones y sentir esperanza.
Participar en un círculo de mujeres ha sido el inicio de algo maravilloso y profundamente transformador en la vida de muchas mujeres. en donde logran encontrar sus alas, su propia voz, su propia luz y atreverse a compartirles quizás por primera vez, donde se dan el permiso de sonreír, reír, crecer, florecer, donde logran superar sus miedos y se vuelven lideresas, ejemplos, inspiraciones para otras mujeres.
Ana mahongas ni uan kom shub ahar ich kenti onna opresión no kan pertak shukba abkin batsra la primera vez shi bebi tak pa segunda vez shukba chi consumam ba trishum en vach ba ma ho chik shi betvi ik shiqaban kha anak actividad sha ban shqavach ba shuk shkhav kha shqaban khilat ya lol ba لا خلاص إننا إخقاش بكخا يبيل إخقاش شرويا كنا بيتي
Amach oninim porque y como que se we qochiku we mashtak shitak niapti nim in tapalto we chichan ove el kane entonces como que hasta tocan we te mishtish tagnet we neton we inatsun pero qelbet con ratkal achtung pontil que no we ta we cuan senten lastamente tuli un montón de cosas hasta subiendo no qochikutsun entonces asunte شكوتنا تخشمو جينا قصل كنيك اتي جينا قصيق القي اني مش ناقصش ما تبقى.
Tengo mucha esperanza que con tu apoyo vamos a poder lanzar nuestra nueva iniciativa Juntas nos levantamos. Se trata de apoyar a nuestras lideresas, que son de los pueblos Mam, Quiche y Tzutuil, para que puedan formar a 10 nuevas lideresas. Se trata de juntas dar luz a nuevos círculos de mujeres en nuevos espacios, para que hasta 200 mujeres puedan participar este año, formando una red cada vez más amplia y conectada de mujeres que juntas se levantan. Con tu apoyo, el tejido mismo de este sueño colectivo se fortalece y se transforma, así como el futuro de tantas mujeres de Guatemala y sus comunidades. Gracias por tu donación. No sabes cuánto tu impacto es infinito.
The next guest that we're catching up on is Nick Salazar and Guardians Worldwide. Now, Nick has and will continue to state he is not an Indigenous person. He cannot speak for them and will not represent them, but he works with Indigenous people all over the world to bring their culture and knowledge forward in an educational way. He runs courses through Guardians Worldwide, and he himself does these also his own called course last year, Following the Land, which is quite interesting. It's how we connect with the land and see the land, even if it's completely changed from what it originally was. You can still get in contact with how it was before there was a building on it or before it became a farm. It was quite a fascinating conversation, so you might want to go back and listen to that. For his current update, he asked me to refer to his newsletter, which is Guardians Worldwide. So let me share that with you. In this edition, he announces that the Indigenous people he works with are beginning Guardians of the River course. And it just began February 1st. It's going to run all the way to April 15th. So if you're interested, you can still get in on that. I believe they are still allowing people in. This is an online course delivered from Indigenous communities and nature defenders. You'll learn about river guardianship and different experimental modes of learning through swimming, drinking, bathing, etc. We have lovingly created this course so that we can all learn again as water beings. So that is something to check out if you're interested in learning from Indigenous people how to connect and be guardians of the rivers, which, as we all know, is such a vital concern, especially in South America at this time. I've had several South American guests who are informing us that their rivers are being poisoned by runoff from mines and other sources of, well, destruction, pretty much, that's being used in ways that it's for consumerism, and it's having an effect on local Native people who depend on rivers. So there's some more information about the course. You can go to his website, Worldwide Guardians, Guardians Worldwide. Look that up, get some more details, see if it's not too late to join. Additionally, the Guardians of the Ganges moved to form a river parliament. So there is a brief introduction here. There's an entire article about this, but it looks like they are basically coming together to take action on the Ganges River, which is a well-known river. And I'm aware that there have been different issues with it's a very complex situation, and I would rather refer you to read the article because it goes into detail about the complexities of that. But it's good to see people uniting around this cause and moving to take action to help protect this amazing river. He's also going to be running a webinar, an open climate webinar series, exploring minority voices on climate change from Indigenous and youth perspectives. The next guest I would like to update is the Worldwide Initiative for Development, Hands for the Little. And we were joined by Mukamba, who is the coordinator of this initiative. If you saw the video, you'll probably know we had some technical difficulties, so the screen got a little fuzzy. But he has sent us a wonderful two-part video, and he's been in touch with me ever since the conversation. I believe this was August or September of last year, and kept me up to date with what's going on with this group. He happened to write into us. He was looking for tree planting assistance, and we began a conversation, and I said, you've got to come on to the series and tell us more about the situation and what you're working with. So he did. And what I want to let you know a little background about is that the Pygmies were recognized as the first and oldest inhabitants of Sub-Saharan Africa. Before colonization, they occupied all of Central Africa until they were driven off of the lands that they lived on. This continued over in various circumstances, and this repeated forced removal resulted in difficult living circumstances for them today. They are hunters-gatherers. The forests that they gather from, as you probably can imagine, have decreased substantially. They run into different political situations or living situations where the land is already occupied. They've been trying to locate places where they can set up their own home and live there, and also learn ways to provide for themselves, because they can't go hunting and gathering anymore in the way they used to historically for generations and generations. They have to earn money to go buy food to feed their families. So the Worldwide Initiative for Development is working with them. It's offering tools like carpentry and training for the men. For women, they offer sewing and training in other areas to give them the ability to earn some money to provide for the children. Another interesting note, the children are extremely important to this tribe. They tend to have anywhere from 5 to 8 children. And as you can see in this picture here, they live in very small one-room kind of shacks. So that can get quite crowded, as you can imagine. But it's certainly a fascinating conversation that he and I had. I learned so much, and I really recommend if you can come back and watch this video. Now, I think I may have mentioned, Makambai has been reaching out to me every month to give me an update. And he's very eager to hear from all of you. You can reach him at this address, and I will include this on the current page. He has sent us 2 videos. He also sent us a little bit of an update. So this photo is, as you can see, a group shot at a funeral. And I won't go into any details. It's just that a very important man in their community that was very loved and well respected passed away. And that was hard on their tribe, on this group. He wanted to share that so that thoughts of good wishes and respects could be paid towards this man and their community. So I did want to share that. But more recently, he wrote me just this month. And let me read what he wrote. He's going to tell you about it in just a second, but let me read what he wrote. They are working on a beekeeping project for 2022 with 8 pygmy villages, and they're hoping to get 400 hives for all of these villages all together. So they will distribute to each of these 8 villages 50 hives, and the price for each hive, including transportation, I believe this is in American dollars, is $23. They are starting with the Pelote village because there are more pygmies in that village than in the other villages. And that will be their initial starting point of this project. They want to get at least 50 hives in Pelote village. And here we go. Now there are 2 videos. This is the first one.
Hi, my name is Mukamba Michel. Today I come to introduce our project of beekeeping. So in this 2022, we decided to have a pygmy project for Pygmy village. So in this project, we decided to have 400 hiva. So we will distribute to each village 50 hiva. So we need to have 400 hiva, and then we will divide 50 hiva to each village. And the price of 1 hiva, it costs $20 without any transportation fee. So in total, we can have $23. So we beg you all guys who can support this pygmy community to success for this project, because this project is good and useful for them. We use the horn here, we use it for the traditional medical, but also it protects the environment. So we beg you to support this project and to support this community. We hope to hear from you soon. So thank you so much for your goodwill and for your support for this pygmy community. I'm coming again to introduce our projects. As I explained to my first video, you know, the last hiva we use, this is a traditional hiva we use. So, but we need to buy a model hiva. We need to buy it. So the model hiva is $20 without transportation fee. When we include the transportation fee, it's $23. So we beg you to help us to buy the traditional model of hiva to help this community, pygmy community, to produce more honey. As you know, this honey is useful for us. It's useful for healing many skin, many dishes. And this project can protect also the environment. So we beg you to help this community for this project of hiva. We beg you guys to support us, to help us to buy many hiva for this pygmy.
Okay, so that was Mukamba, and he is so passionate about the work he does. Such a good soul, and I'm just so impressed with how much he's working to work with the community and help them be able to support themselves. As you may have heard, the honey will not only provide nutrition, it provides medicine. I believe he was saying for skin conditions. If I'm sure there's a lot more you can use honey for, and also for an income. They can sell some of the extra honey and be able to buy the other products that they need. Now, I will state he is in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They don't have PayPal in that country. They don't have the simplistic ways to support a $20 beehive project, which, you know, I'm sure that's a very reasonable price. And I completely understand he's wanting to know if anyone in our community would want to assist. You can't write to him directly. He says he's looking into seeing if there is some way he can connect more Western group to some way that there's like a charity page, like a GoFundMe or something like that, that would be able to help him raise the money, because again, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, they simply just don't have the type of fundraising revenue websites and systems that we do in the UK or in the USA. If you just want to know more about his project or just want to drop him a line and give him some encouragement, he'd love that too. As I said, he's very passionate about this project and wants to continue to update us on a monthly basis, which I really appreciate and enjoy. So again, that is his address, and I will include it. You can also go on Facebook and have a lot of updates and pictures on Facebook as well. And let's move on to the next guest. We have two guests who wanted to submit an update, but they have not been able to send one over in time. If I receive it from them, I will be happy to add that on to the webpage so you can come back and check it out at any time. But at this point, as the recording is being made, I have not received the response, other than they are interested in sending one. Let me tell you a little bit about this, about Kuntunawa Nation. They are seeking those like-minded groups and individuals who see the value in guarding the last stands of old growth trees and want to come forward and step up and help support their protection. Haru has made it very well known in this conversation that we had back in July, yes, July of 2021, and the importance of these trees, the biodiversity, the medicinal plants that exist, the composition of the soil is all very unique to these older trees. They have such a complex and rich understory that has occurred over decades and decades, very similar to what I was speaking about before with the British Columbia old growth forest. And there are lots of efforts that he sees for reforestation of deforested areas, but he really wants to take a stand and protect these extremely rare and unique places that cannot just be rebuilt in a matter of years. It takes generations to get to where these old growth forests have. They do have their website and contact information on this page. I'll make sure to include it. You can come back and listen to this conversation. It's basically Haru presenting the information about old growth forest for the majority of the message, but it is absolutely fascinating and it is available for you to see. Additionally, Grandmother Flordemayo's daughter reached out that they would like to send an update. They simply have not sent one yet. So Grandmother Flordemayo, as you may know, is this amazing being. She has such a unique gift. She is a curandera espiritu, and I apologize if I have not pronounced that correctly, the healer of divine spirit. She is a seer. She can see realms of color and light and sound and the effects of the existing imbalances on physical, emotional, spiritual realms within a person's energy system. Amazing woman, absolutely fascinating, her abilities. And I'm sure many of you have heard of her and already appreciate her quite greatly. If you haven't, please do check her out. This is an audio recording that she was offering with us. I believe it was our very first call with her. This is a repeat of the original Indigenous Wisdom for the Earth first call from February of 2019. So it's very beautiful transmission that she just received and shared with us in the moment. I can let you know, because I am in her Facebook group, that they have started a full moon ceremony. I also want to let you know that she has a Sacred Harmony webinar on February 22nd, 2022. It has to do with that very beautiful, unique 22222 number. So you might want to check that out if you're interested. She also she had a vision that she received that she was called to gather the seeds, collect the seeds together, the heritage seeds, the heirloom seeds, the seeds that are not commonly found, and preserve them and make sure they are available for the next generation. The story about receiving the vision is fascinating. She makes these small little bundles that she will put some of the seeds in and share it with people who have newborns. It's just such a beautiful story. I do want to mention the path itself is also a land of sacred temples, each of the elements. I believe this one is the air element. And it's where ceremony and reciprocity and being in reverence with nature occurs. And that's one of the things I love most about her. She is so inspirational that you can't help but feel your own connection to the earth come up for you and be present to you. So I do recommend, if you haven't ever heard her talk, please do feel free to listen to her in the conversation we had, but also check out her Facebook group. She probably has links to some of her conversations. And I know she additionally opened a store to support them called Love and Light, where she offers things like a, let me show you, spiritual planner guide. Also things like, candles and ritual altar items and things that will help you maintain your own ceremonies and sense of reverence. So please do check her out either on Facebook, or you can come to the path and look for links here. So the last guest was our November of 2021 guest, Roberto Mera, and he is the chief of the Yasapura village in Argentina. And his people, I'm just going to point to the name here because I do not wish to mispronounce it, but that group of original people, they were a migratory group, and they traveled both to hunt and gather survival needs, and they had spiritual beliefs, which also directed where they would travel, which is absolutely fascinating. They have a very unique spiritual culture that they don't share with the outside world. So the fact that he even came on our show to talk to us about the trees was quite an honor, as so many others that have been here. It just, I'll get into that in a minute. But Andrea Ferrari is a volunteer who's been working for this tribe. She's that English connection between seeking to work with charities and organizations and getting the help that they need. So when Roberto was living in this village over time, he noticed that a lot of trees were either being cut down or dying off, not surviving, and he could not just sit there and watch it happen anymore. So he began collecting seeds and seedlings and trying to propagate and make sure that these trees would continue to grow and be there for the next generation, because each tree offers its own properties, not just medicinal and not just, some of them offer food, but energetically as well. So he did not want to see species completely wiped out. He came to us, or actually I should say Andrea wrote to us, because he was seeking assistance to build a second nursery to help with his tree project. Additionally, at that time, they did not have a reliable source of water. I can show you what they did have, because she had sent me a report about their water issue. And they had this pillar, this tank of water that was donated about 2 years ago by the River Plate Football Club. And it was having issues. The hose was leaking. Sometimes it could not bring up enough water from the well. There was just a whole host of issues where it just simply wasn't functioning. It certainly wasn't bringing in enough water for the people and the plants. And there had also been a persistent drought in that area at the time that she had collected this information. And here's another example that they would have to have these containers to put water in and fill them up. This is a school, so that they could support the school. So it would be carried from this well that wasn't functioning properly over here to this container, so they could turn around and cook for the children at school. And there's Roberto. And what she wrote to me about in December is that the government actually installed a new well beside the nurseries, and they're hoping that it will solve that problem. So that's wonderful to hear. I know he's still looking for assistance with the nursery that he wanted to expand on. He and his family have been the sole caretakers of these trees. So I'm sure he also is hoping to be able to pay people to come help him with expanding this nursery. I do want to say, in this interview we did, Andrea was our translator. And although I could not understand what he was saying, I could just feel his energy coming from him. He was such a joyous man and so passionate about the planting that, you know, even as he was describing it, I didn't know exactly what he was saying, but I could tell how much it meant to him. And I am so grateful that he came on, as well as all of the guests that we've had so far, because for his particular group of people, his original people, they historically don't speak to the Western world. They have their own spiritual beliefs that they do not share. So the fact that he came actually onto a recording with us and he even made us a video was such an honor for him to do. I do want to state that this video is in, I believe, Portuguese. So I tried to play it for a minute there and there is no translation. But if you speak Portuguese, you're welcome to come and listen to it. And the actual conversation from last year is here. So again, I have to say that Andrea said that they too, because of where they're located, they do not have things like a website that they could put up. But he doesn't have the internet, first off. They don't have the ability to have donations coming in to support his efforts. You can reach out to her. She's happy to tell you more. In fact, she's eager and looking forward to anyone who wants to talk and at least even send a message of support to the work he's doing. That would be most welcome. Hopefully we can follow up some more with them and see what else is going on for them as we go on into 2022. And I just want to say, for me personally, I hope that each and every one of you who watches any of these conversations with any of these amazing people are as moved and as touched and as honored to hear from them as I have been. I feel so fortunate that we are presenting this series to host and bring voices forward in the way that we are. And that just continues to become an even more and more important factor as we go on, especially in the state of our current world. And please take the time when you are in space to have some inspiration and some good news and check these out. Each one has a brief description and most of them have videos. The earlier ones are audio only. I try to include links to learn more. I try to include photos when possible, but please do come and check it out and learn about the variety of beautiful stories that exist. And thank you, each and every one of you who's ever listened to a call, as well as each and every one of my guests and the people that work with them and support them, that have taken the time to lift their voices and let them be heard through our network. We are so very grateful. Next month, we are actually going to speak with, let me get to the page. I'm excited about this one. One of our tree planting partners. Did I go past it? Let's see. And here we go. Also in the state of Acre, but this is Pinky. And he is a shaman in the Ashaninkas village. And we are working with them to build a food forest. So it's very exciting to have him on. I look forward to that conversation. Madeline, who manages our tree planting programs, is going to be co-hosting. And I hope you look forward to that one. That one will be coming up in March, and we will send out that information once we are closer to that date. Thank you all again, and take care.